Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Finance Wise, the show that empowers you to make informed decisions about your money. I'm Dancer Costume Melani, and in today's episode, we'll be discussing different methods that entrepreneurs can use for financing, including debt, equity, and procurement financing for businesses. Thousands of people set up their own businesses every year. Some do it because they want to work for themselves, others because they have a great idea and have spotted a gap in the market. And of course, there are those that think that they can make lots of money. Today's episode on debt, equity, and procurement financing for businesses is sponsored by the Financial Literacy Initiative. As you know from our previous episodes, the Financial Literacy Initiative was officially launched in March 2012 in order to improve financial education and consumer protection. The FLI was rolled out in the Commerce, Irongo, Northern, Southern, Caprivi, and Kavango regions during 2012. So let's assume that you already know what business that you want to start and are convinced that it's an excellent idea worth investing in. How do you, as an entrepreneur, go about getting the money to finance your venture? Today, we will lay the groundwork and practical steps to follow if you wish to finance your business via equity, debt, or procurement financing. Now let's see what ordinary Namibians have to say about equity, debt, and procurement financing.
Have you ever thought of starting your own business?
Yeah, I once thought about it.
If you have one, how would you finance it?
Mostly to be through personal savings.
What is debt financing?
Debt financing it's whereby you, like for a company, might sell bonds to the public, then public will buy the bond, then the company get cash.
Have you ever considered starting your own business?
Yes I do.
If you have, how would you finance it?
So at least maybe I can get a plan of getting a loan. Yeah.
Debt financing, it's when a business, it's having like owing money. Yeah, it's a debt financing. Yeah.
To my own understanding, debt financing is like when you go to financial institution and borrow money to invest in your business.
Yeah.
What is equity finance?
Equity financing is whereby a company buys what they call it, trades a certain percentage of its, let's say, stake of the business in exchange of cash. Yeah.
What is a procurement finance?
Procurement financing is mostly whereby you be buying, you get a loan to buy, if it's a retail for stock, or maybe, for example, you can say a company buying oil for refining and then selling it again.
One of the key things you need to think about when deciding how to get money for your business is to ask yourself what type of financing facilities you are going to use. Debt financing refers to the borrowing of money in order to finance your business. This borrowed money is then repaid, usually with interest, within a specified period of time. Equity financing represents selling ownership in your business venture to another person or entity in return for money you will then use to finance your business. Procurement financing, on the other hand, is a form of bridging credit for situations in which an entrepreneur or business has to spend money in advance to purchase raw materials, for example, in order to fulfill the obligations relating to a contract with a client before it can in turn receive payment for delivering that product or service to a client. Procurement financing is often used to provide the money needed to fulfill the obligations of a tender or contract because some entrepreneurs do not have the funds required to do this when they are initially awarded a tender. Making use of procurement financing facilities means the entrepreneur can meet his obligations and deliver the required service without financial difficulties and repay the loan after he or she has received the final payment from his client. It is important to realize that different forms of financing have different advantages, disadvantages, and conditions. For example, in the case of equity financing, it will result in you not being the only owner of your business anymore, as you will now be in partnership with another person or entity. Whilst with debt financing and procurement financing, the entrepreneur's obligation to the institution providing the financing ends once the obligation has been repaid, usually with interest or some form of profit sharing. In the next training clip, we look at equity, procurement, and debt financing for small and medium enterprises in some more detail. Debt financing represents the borrowing of money you need to start your business, usually from a lending institution such as a bank, and repaying the loan over time, usually with interest. Procurement financing represents the borrowing of money you need for a specific tender or obligation, usually from a specialist lending institution such as a financial services provider, and repaying the loan once the contract has been completed, usually with interest or an additional profit-sharing obligation. Equity financing, on the other hand, represents selling ownership in your business venture to another person or entity, such as a private equity company, in return for money you will then use to finance your business. Private equity companies are a recent development in the Namibian financial system, and they provide both debt and equity financing, or combined solutions to businesses in various stages of development. Choosing equity financing has implications in terms of how your business will be run, as another shareholder or partner will have influence over the decision-making process. Equity financing is usually a long-term relationship, as realizing the required rate of return for your new partner may take anywhere from 3 to 20 years or more. For this reason, equity partners have to be evaluated and chosen very carefully, as you are likely to be stuck with your choice indefinitely. Why would a startup business issue shares? Why would you, as the founder of a business, share your profits with other people when you could keep those profits to yourself? The reason is that at some point, almost every entrepreneur needs to raise finances for business needs. To do this, the entrepreneur can either borrow it from somebody or raise it by selling part of the business, which is known as issuing shares or equity financing. A company can borrow by taking a loan from a bank or another lending institution. Issuing shares can be advantageous for an entrepreneur because it does not require the entrepreneur to pay back the money or make interest payments. All that the shareholders or partners get in return for their money is the hope that the shares will someday be worth more than what they paid for them. The first sale of a share, which is issued by a private company itself on an official stock exchange, such as the Namibian Stock Exchange, is called the initial public offering, or IPO. However, smaller SMEs and entrepreneurs would usually sell shares to investors privately via contracts and not necessarily have them trading on a big stock exchange. Now let's see how our resident business owner Peter deals with financing issues of his own. Peter is an entrepreneur running a small business that mixes and delivers cement for various construction projects. He wins a tender which requires him to deliver a certain quantity of cement for a construction project of a shopping center taking place in one of the urban suburbs of Windhoek.
Yo, my man, come inside.
Peter!
What's up? Cool, man. What do you have for me?
Good news and bad news.
Good news first.
Good news. We got the tender for the construction company to supply cement.
Really?
That's very good.
Good work pays off, man. Good work pays off.
Yeah, man.
What is the bad news?
The bad news is we only got 3,000 and we need 10,000 for the raw materials.
So basically we need 7,000.
Yeah.
And I think we have to go to a private equity company to get that money.
Yeah.
To help us with that money, actually. What does the contract say? How much are we getting when we're done with the contract?
Once we complete the tender, we'll receive 25,000 and 15,000 profit.
Really?
Doing good.
That's good. Okay. You know, let me see the contract. You know, you get the guys ready, and then we get the guys ready, and then I'll go to these people and I will sort the story out. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Will be good. Just get the guys ready and I'll try to hustle for this money.
Okay. Here's everything that you need for the contract.
Okay.
Be good.
Okay.
Let me get the bus.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Mike.
Good afternoon, Mr. Peter. Sit down, please.
Thanks. So I'm back for the what does the result answers?
We've gone through your proposal. We are going to lend you $7,000 Namibian dollars, and we're going to charge you 25% in return for your procurement financing.
Okay.
So, here's your contract, sir.
Oh, thank you. That's really good news.
You just sign there.
I have a copy of this, so I already know what's in the contract.
Don't forget to read the fine writing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mike, I should thank you very much.
Yes. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
In terms of prospective investors, which means people or institutions that you can approach to finance your business, there are a number of options that an entrepreneur can consider. Private equity firms are a possibility for getting access to debt, equity, and procurement financing to start your business. This often entails a rigorous evaluation process and demanding returns and profit expectations. One of the benefits of private equity firms, however, is that their services involve lots of additional support services for operational, management, general business support, and advice. In this instance, they do not just give you the money, but help and guide you along the way as you operate your business. Banks are the ideal choice for business loans, as are other specialist lending organizations like microlenders, SME banks, and business development banks. Most commercial banks have SME lending departments that specialize in financing facilities for smaller entrepreneurs and business ventures, as well as facilities that cater for bigger companies that earn annual revenues of 5 million Namibian dollars or more. We talked to Business Financial Solutions, a leading private equity and procurement financing institution in Namibia, for more insight into their funding models for small and medium enterprises.
My name is Kaunan Dilola. I'm the MD of BFS Nampro Fund Manager and also a trustee of the Namibia Procurement Fund. The Namibia Procurement Fund is an investment vehicle which is set up to provide finance for SMEs. It's funded by GIPF as well as the fund manager.
What is procurement financing and how does it compare to equity and ordinary debt financing?
Procurement finance is activity-specific finance. It is finance that is geared to enable an entrepreneur to meet a supply contract. To give you an example, if you've got a contract to supply textbooks to the government and you require funding to purchase the textbooks so that you can deliver, we would come in and provide the funding to acquire those textbooks. Or somebody who's got a contract to execute a tender, constructing a road, or building an office, or servicing a mine, for example. So what we really finance is the supply contract between an SME and a large off-taker, be it a private company or a government department or parastatal. Debt finance on the other side, pure debt finance, typically commercial debt finance is for general business startup. So if somebody wants to start up a company or requires expansion capital, they would go to a bank to get debt finance. Whereas equity finance provides an entrepreneur with capital that doesn't get serviced annually or monthly, but it's against an expected return. So an equity financier typically takes a share in the company and dilute at an agreed time. That's really the different options of financing that SMEs or businesses could generally access in Namibia.
How does your fund assist Namibian entrepreneurs to finance their business activities?
What we finance is very specific business activities, like I mentioned earlier. So if an entrepreneur has a contract to supply goods, they could come to us and we can enable them to meet that obligation. Or in the event that they have already delivered, but their client is taking long to pay, government, for example, might take 60 days to pay. They could bring their invoices to us, we'll discount the invoice, which means they have working capital available for them to do the job, to continue doing future jobs, and that enables them to go on. So our tool is very much a working capital finance tool. It's a cash flow injection into the business to enable an entrepreneur meet their contract obligations. So if somebody wants to establish a new business, they would typically go to a bank. But if they have a contract that they need to finance or execute, they would come to us. And that's obviously a space where banks don't necessarily play into. It's mainly the Namibia Procurement Fund and DBN that provide supply finance or bridge finance, like some people refer to.
What are some of the requirements entrepreneurs must meet to acquire funds from your organization?
What is a core requirement is the supply relationship. The off-taker must be a larger party, and the contracted party must be a smaller business. So there must be that supply relationship, which is the core requirement for us to finance. And then we would typically then look at the general basic business background information, like your company registration documents, your compliance certificates on tax, your shareholder or CM24s, so typical bank documents, application documents that we require. We have an application form that can be downloaded on our website or can be collected at our offices at 7 Newton Street, and the supportive documents that are required are stipulated there. It really depends on the type of activity. If it's a tender for construction, then we need the work program and the bid that was submitted. If it's just supply of goods, then we only need the purchase order that the off-taker have provided as an order for delivery. But those requirements would be stipulated in the application form.
We also talked to some local SMEs to get their views and experiences with regards to acquiring financing.
Thank you very much. My name is Kelly Nkulifwe. I'm the Executive Director for Sahara Investment, which is a subsidiary of Sahara Namibia Holdings.
What type of business are you involved in?
We are involved in business consulting, which includes project management, feasibility studies, management of logistics, and also financing, assisting with financing, facilitation of financing for small and medium enterprises.
What type of financing facilities have you used to fund your business activities?
We involved in many businesses that we do, like project management, where we design projects and then we will do the implementation, so therefore managing the implementers. And then we also involve in supply of material and equipment, whereby the client would need the services to be provided, and then only you receive your payment. Therefore, for one to do this, you need to have working capital and the guarantees. The services that we have specifically required lately, and from NAMPRO fund, what you see from NAMPRO fund, was that when we were awarded a tender by NamPower to supply them with coal from Botswana, which was worth, the tender was worth $104 million, and we required, NamPower needed to make sure that we are able to deliver, so they required us to give them a guarantee, a performance guarantee of 10.4 million. So we received the guarantee from NAMPRO Fund, Business Finance Solutions. Then in addition, we needed working capital, so we received an overdraft facility from FNB of about $1 million. That's what we used in the last few months.
What challenges have you faced and overcome in financing your business?
The challenges that we face is that, for example, when we did the NAMPOA tender, which was one of the biggest tender, we had another one before that, which is also $100 million. That was mainly project management, was much easier from government. This one required us to have to provide 10 million in guarantee. Now, that means that you as a business need to have 10 million worth of capital lying somewhere, either in terms of property or in terms of cash, because NAMPRO Fund will not give you that kind of money or that kind of assistance if you don't have anything. So that was a big challenge. So what I needed to do, I pulled a couple of colleagues together, and we teamed up to make sure that we come up with what is required.
What would you advise other entrepreneurs struggling to obtain financing for their businesses?
But what I learned is that you need to work with other people. I had to, for this challenge, I had to pull in some colleagues to assist me to go along. You need to learn to work as a team. In Namibia, we must try to move away from doing it alone. We must try to learn to work together, go into joint ventures, and put our work up front. A lot of times, you find that people they get given assistance and then they misuse it. People are not putting their money into the business. You need also to use your own money to put in business, and not only depend on the financial institutions, because they also are there to make money. So my advice would really be that come forth yourself, and then also work with other people. Until you build yourself. That's really my advice.
Now that you have some first-hand information, you can get started on financing your own business. Remember that there is no time like the present to get started on improving your financial prospects for your future. We have mentioned earlier that this episode is supported by the National Financial Literacy Initiative. The FLI has developed several street theaters which give tips on saving, budgeting, and spending in a very entertaining but still educating way. For additional information on the initiative, you can fetch one of these FLI booklets or posters at the Ministry of Finance in Windhoek, or download the FLI booklet on the website below. Please remember that the points made in this program are not meant to give you personal advice. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to managing your business finances. The point of this program is to give you a more tangible look at how a business person or individual might implement the ideas discussed. There are many other alternatives out there, and we strongly encourage you to explore them and see what works best for you. Whatever you do, keep the principles we've discussed in mind and never stop trying to learn more. This is Danta Kosimi Malani encouraging you to get finance wise. See you next time.